Let me tell you quickly how this list works. Every season, I divide the top 10 in two segments: new series and sequels to existing shows that I cover in a lightning round format. It'll make sense when we go down the road. But before I actually get into the list, let me tell you about the worst anime of this season. Now, mind you, this impression of mine is based solely on the first 2 or 3 episodes out at the moment. Last season, that was Kemen no Friends, and boy did I get that one wrong. So let's see how badly I'll strike this time again. So my choice for the absolute worst anime of the season is topped on 2. Let's start with Sen Nanatsu no Taizai. First off, if, like me, you think it's related to the other anime called Nanatsu no Taizai, well, you're wrong. Nothing to do with it. Nothing at all. Secondly, I think I had too many expectations about this one. I saw the art and was really charmed by it. But then I started watching it, and it's an ecchi fantasy show. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that if you like it. It just reminds me too much of how Triage X was such a train wreck. But worry not, if you don't find it hateable enough, try to sit through an episode of Kabukibu. I don't think I've passed out harder watching an anime about an aspect of Japanese culture I just don't give a fuck about. The story is about kabuki, a dramatic type of dance, and how a bunch of students try to make a club for it. Why? I'm not sure why that Edo period trend is brought back, but seriously? That's like having a school club about the Civil War. Do you see how awkward it is?
ありがとね。でも大丈夫だから、みんなとストレッチしておいで。
女装男子？女装じゃないわよ。化粧よ。っていうか新顔ね。
Number 10, Buso Shoujo Machiavellianism. Are you a masochist? Would be a better tagline for this show. Remember Prison School, the anime? Well, it's kind of like that. Then again, not really. Hear me out, and you'll make the connection. The story of this anime is about a school who used to be girl-only. That becomes co-ed. So far, that's just every anime ever, but essentially the girls being scared of being raped, as they should, cause every guy is a rapist, he said in a sarcastic tone. Well, those girls were allowed to carry swords at school. That eventually turned into a reforming comedy who used the 5 swords, group of girls, to, how do they put it? Correct problematic students? Well, that's a euphemism if I ever heard one. The show is colorful, the characters are fun, and I can see this one going somewhere, but so far is the end of the list.
お、首って乳首のことか。
どうせ男にはいらんだろ。
正月の乳首相撲はどうするんだ。
そう、お察しの通り。このノートに名前を書かれた者が24時間以内にキスをしないと死にます。やっとまともに話を。
Number 9, Rinai Bokun, School Rom-Com. That's it. That's all you really need to know about this one. Seen 1, seen 1,000, so how can I put it simply in terms you guys would understand? It's like Death Note meets Yamada-kun and the 7 Witches. If you're like, so what, a notebook that forces you to kiss girls? Well, there you have it, that's exactly that. Of course, it wouldn't be a true rom-com if it didn't have a love triangle, so that's in there as well. It sounds asinine, but the fact that there's, this time around, the main girl character is a yandere type, it makes for an interesting combination. I'd say try this one out. School rom-com are easy to digest and plow through. This one's no different.
先ほどかばってくれた時ビビッときたんです。
これには訳があるので話を聞いてくださいよ。
誰だお前。つか喋った。こちら4号車。ミニシーは目標に向かいました。了解。
あなたがいるべき場所はワンダーランドだけ。
Number 8, Alice to Zoroku. Essentially, this is a cute anime, not as much moe as you'd think. That's not really what they were aiming for. More so like Sunday Without God. At least that's my take from it. The story is about Sana, a little girl who has a special power who can materialize anything she imagines. After she escapes from the lab where she was held in, she encounters an old man who takes care of her. Well, at least so far that's what we know of it. I don't expect normal teenager to find much appreciation in this anime, but as a soon-to-be parent myself, it really warmed my heart to her antics.
奴らに命令されて追ってきたのか。ポンコツ姉妹。ポ ポンコツ何
そいつはこっちのセリフだ。
自分が必要とされる部署であれば
地方勤務でも
そこはできれば東京で
これまで何社くらい受けましたか？
占いなんか
Number 7, Sakura Quest. When I heard about the synopsis of Sakura Quest, I was already on board. The premise is about a failing town who decides to revive their tourism program during the bubble economy period. To do so, they hire 5 girls who are in charge of being travel ambassador. So, of course, the first thing I thought about this anime was it's gonna be like Area the Animation. It ends up being not too far off of that. The anime is slow-paced and its cornerstone is mostly focused on its comedy aspect and the character development. If you like something light, try this one out.
になってすっごく綺麗なんだよ。で、あそこに見えるのが一応王宮なんだけど。
間山特産の芋じゃ。他にもいろいろあるぞ。
みんなにそう言われたのかい？
お母さんは俺が怖くないの？
どこを怖がれてんだい？
Number 6, Zero Kara Hajimeru Mahou no Shou. I heard someone call this anime Lolly and the Beast, and honestly, it's the best description this show could have. The anime is about evil witches. One of them, called Zero, got one of her books stolen, and she has to retrieve it. To do so, she needs a bodyguard, and ends up striking a deal with a half-human, half-beast mercenary who accepts to help her out if she promises to turn him into a human once they get her book back. So it's exactly Beauty and the Beast. So you travel to the land of this fantasy adventure with the odd duo and enjoy the company of a condescending whore. Sorry, I got out of hand. A witch and the kind beast with her.
お前、何やってんだ。オートプラスター？敵の本陣だぞ。
緊張する。落ち着け。落ち着け。
Number 5, Tsukigakire. Tsukigakire so far is leaving me lukewarm. So what better place to putting it halfway through this list? This is a soul anime, a show that's focused on developing a relationship between 2 characters you know nothing of at first, and who grow closer to each other. Honestly, it kind of feels like a poor man's Kimi no Na wa, and I mean that with the greatest respect. Visually, the anime is quite stunning when it comes to landscape, but characters are kind of uncanny. That's probably due to the fact it's fake 3D. And if you don't know, fake 3D is a new method anime companies have adapted where they animate everything in 3D and then paint over it with traditional 2D, which gives this uncanny finish. It's one of those shows I need to see more before I make my final judgment of it, but so far, it's alright.
こんにちは。
来週祭りの稽古あるよ。
不好意思啊，叶哥，一来就占了你的位置。
翔哥这话说的，某些人已经老了，过时了。
Number 4, The King's Avatar. Fuck yeah! If we're going with score alone, this anime should be number 1. But of course, there has to be a hiccup, and I have to point it out. It's the fact that it's entirely in Chinese, which I know to the purists is like buying a local produce and finding a made in China tag under it. So yeah, for transparency's sake, it's a Chinese anime, but I don't care, because I've been waiting for this bad boy for over a year. The anime is about esports. Some guys get kicked off of a major league and end up at the bottom of the chain. While working in a cafe, he decides to ultimately comes back in the world of esports starting from the bottom. I don't care what anyone says about this show, I freaking love it, and I hope you guys will too.
是吧？有没有搞错啊？还在看新手攻略？
清醒多了。
さぎり、飯持ってきたぞ。飯ここに置いとくから。
Number 3, Heromanga Sensei. Fuck, where do I start with this one? I hate it to its core. Because I love it. There hasn't been a better definition of guilty pleasure than this anime. Remember Oreimo? Sexual tension between a brother and his sister? Well, it's kind of that all over again. The characters are goofy, the anime is your general rom-com, but your core focus being a 12-year-old girl who draws dicks. The anime isn't bad, like Oreimo, it wasn't bad, it's just unrealistic, disturbing, and morally gray. But I'm having fun watching it every week. Don't know what this says about me, but I want to see where it goes, and I hope it can differentiate itself from previous anime who tried to do this. And I'll keep my fingers crossed.
本当に兄さんが泉正宗なの。天聖の勤労の観念しなさい。君危ないから離れ。
Number 2. Oh, fuck that title! Shumatsu nani shitemasu ka? Isogashi desu ka? Sukute morate ii desu ka? I'm gonna call it World End instead. Besides its essay-long title, this anime had a premise that just intrigued me. The world has been swarmed by mysterious beasts and humans went extinct. Only a few races managed to escape on floating lands in the sky. The story follows a group of girls who have the ability of wielding ancient weapons they can use to fend off the invasion. Insert a male character with a tragic past who lost everything and was dormant for a few hundred years, something like that. I know I've already used the comparison earlier, but it's kind of a mix between Sunday Without God, Humanity Ends Decline, and Utawareru Mono. So if you know any of those titles, you can probably see the resemblance.
管理者さんにご挨拶など食べちゃうわよ。
ビレム・クメシュ、どうやらしばらくの間ここ
システィーナお嬢様を置いていくなんてしがない居候に過ぎない私にそんなことできませんわ。
And finally, number 1, Rokudenashi Majutsu Koshi to Akashic Records, which I'm gonna call Akashic Record for short C's. I gotta say, so far this is the new series I had the biggest kutkara for this season. This anime has a vibe of a mix between Great Teacher Onizuka and Mahoka Koko no Retose. The story is about Sistine, a girl who attends a magical academy, and she has a favorite teacher who retires, to be promptly replaced by Glenn, a tardy, carefree, aloof, and lazy teacher who doesn't seem to care at first. If you like story with those type of laid-back teachers like Assassination Classroom or Denpa Kyoshi, who always seem to come back to save the day, well, you gotta try this one out. I'm in love with it, and I just hope it keeps improving with every new episodes.
分かってるってお前も食いたかったんだろこの癒しんぼめ
So that takes care of the first portion with the new series. But what about all those incredible sequels coming out? I can't ignore them, so let's go! Lightning round! Number 10, Kyokai no Rine Season 3, same plot as Inuyasha. I just get a third season and no one knows anything about it, blows my mind. Number 9, Berserk 2, more 3D. Seriously, props for sticking to your guns, but did it have to be Berserk? Number 8, the new Danmachi, or how to put your story on hiatus forever and follow a secondary character. No, I'm not talking about Hunter x Hunter. Number 7, Boruto. Hear me out. What if Naruto as a kid learned Chidori instead of Rasengan? Number 6, Uchuten Kazoku 2. Such a good and underrated series overshadowed by more hype stuff. Number 5, Shingeki no Bahamut. More colossal enemies, more explosion, and more of that afro. Number 4, Cyanide Heroin, an ecchi romantic, kind of not really appreciated by the mass, but I like it a lot. Number 3, Boku no Hero Academia Season 2 plus Ultra, it's amazing, it's my favorite show of the season, watch it. Number 2, Attack on Titan Season 2, we waited 4 years for 12 fucking episodes, they better be good as fuck. And finally, number 1, Natsume Yujincho Roku, 6th season of an amazing anime about a guy talking to ghosts. You probably didn't get anything of that, but I'm not gonna lie, I kinda like doing those fast forward moments. What about you guys, what's your favorite anime to watch this season? Anything you can't wait for the episodes to come out weekly? Let me know in the comment section below, and if you missed out last season, well, now is the perfect time to binge watch all the great shows on it. If you don't know where to start, I suggest checking out my top 10 best winter anime of 2017 on the end card. I still think the list is quite accurate despite my fuck up on Kemono Friends, but hey, food's for tots. If you want to check out someone else's opinion, you can watch my good friend Joey the Anime Man, who did his own take on what he was looking forward to in spring 2017. His video was pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, that's all. Let me tell you quickly how this list works. Every season, I divide the top 10 in 2 segments. New series and sequels to existing shows that I cover in a lightning round format. It'll make sense when we go down the road. But before I actually get into the list, let me tell you about the worst anime of this season. Now, mind you, this impression of mine is based solely on the first 2 or 3 episodes out at the moment. Last season, that was Kemono Friends, and boy did I get that one wrong. So let's see how badly I'll strike this time again.
そりゃそうよ。私を誰だと思ってるの？ のままってわけにも。助けを呼んできますね、なんちゃって。
So my choice for the absolute worst anime of the season is Stopped on 2. Let's start with Sin Nanatsu no Taizai. First off, if, like me, you think it's related to the other anime called Nanatsu no Taizai, well, you're wrong. Nothing to do with it. Nothing at all. Secondly, I think I had too many expectations about this one. I saw the art and was really charmed by it. But then I started watching it and it's an ecchi fantasy show. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that if you like it. It just reminds me too much of how Triage X was such a train wreck. But worry not, if you don't find it hateable enough, try to sit through an episode of Kabukibu. I don't think I've passed out harder watching an anime about an aspect of Japanese culture I just don't give a fuck